Hey guys, hopefully everyone is doing well. Today's target is to solve question number 13.9. The chapter which we are related with is leverage and capital structure. It's chapter number 13. Right now we are associated with several concepts of break-even point. In 13.9, this current question which will be dealing with a new concept of degree of operating leverage. Though we have taken introduction of it, there would be a formula which would help us to calculate operating leverage. Operating leverage means how far we are from break even. More or larger the answer of operating leverage would be, more comfortable the organization would be in that situation. Less operating leverage means less profitable situation for an organization. So in this way we have 5 requirements, and each requirement has different and distinct feature. We will be calculating it. Gray products introduction. Operating cost, variable cost is 16 while selling price is 63, and look over here, fixed operating cost is $380,000. Gray is the name of that particular organization. Fixed operating cost 380, variable 16, and selling price is 63.5. The first step is to note it down, and later on we will see what is the requirement in our question. So very first thing which is given is your fixed cost. We denote it with FC, and the fixed cost given in our question 3,80,000. So let's put 3,80,000 is fixed cost. The next thing which is given is variable cost. Look over here. Variable operating cost is 16 per unit. The second factor, variable cost per unit is given, VC, and that is 16. All right, let's go back and see the selling price is 63.5 per unit is mentioned. Again, sale price per unit is given, and that is 63.5. Is this the same? 63.50. Okay. So inputs are now in front of us, and we will just be following the first requirement, and that is A. Let's see what A is saying. Calculate operating break-even point in terms of units. So we need to have break-even point in terms of unit. For that we need fixed cost, and this fixed cost would be divided by CM per unit. In front of it we will be looking forward both of this. Fixed cost is already present in our question, 3,80,000. We need to calculate CM per unit. CM means contribution margin per unit, and this would be calculated by taking sales, but this sale would be per unit. Over here you are needed to write sales per unit, and then you will subtract your variable cost but per unit. So this is the way with which you will be able to calculate your contribution margin per unit. And now we need to have sales price per unit. It is already given in your question, and that is 63.5, and you need to subtract variable cost per unit. It is also given in your question, 16. Statement is completed. Now we can put it on our calculator. So we have got our contribution margin per unit. This was needed to calculate break-even point, for which we have the formula fixed cost would be divided by CM per unit. Now note it down, fixed cost is already present which is 3,80,000, and you need to divide it with contribution margin per unit, and this contribution margin has been calculated over here, 47.5. Statement is completed. Now you can put it on your calculator, 47.5. So we have got our break even point in terms of unit. You can see first requirement and written answers are mentioned over here. First answer is 8,000 and we have got 8,000 as well. It means first requirement has been completed. Let's mark it as it has been done. Now we will see what B requirement is saying. Calculate firm's earning before interest and tax for different types of units respectively. It means we have to make 3 contribution margin format income statement. We are at B point. Over here we will be making contribution margin format income statement, and let's write down contribution margin format income statement, and this would include first part would be units and then we will write per unit, after which we will calculate our amount would be calculated by multiplying units into per unit. This way we will be able to calculate our total amounts. Over here we will write sales, then we will subtract variable cost, we will get contribution margin, after which we will subtract fixed cost and we will get net margin, and it is also called earning before interest and tax. So this would be the way to complete our income statement, and let me handle it first. We need a separate cell. Okay, from here we will be putting required amounts to calculate our net margin, which is EBIT. Go back to the requirement, look over here, calculate EBIT, earning before interest and tax. To calculate earning before interest and tax, you will have to follow this statement. This is called contribution margin format income statement. Now we need to put the number of unit at first stage. At B, units are given. There are 3 different types of units, so one by one we will put in number of unit 9,000 over here. First complete income statement would be calculated for 9,000 unit. Over here please understand that number of unit sold would always be equal to number of unit of variable cost and number of unit of contribution margin, and this way you will understand the process. Why? Because this is manufacturing concern, producing products. You cannot sell number of unit more than that of number of unit you have manufactured. It means number of unit of sale and number of unit of variable cost would always be equal. So you will write same 9,000 over here as well. Next procedure is to write down the number of unit of contribution margin. As it was mentioned earlier, number of unit would be same for all 3 factors: sales, variable cost and contribution margin. Now we need to put per unit cost. So first, per unit sale price or sale price per unit we have already mentioned over here from our question. We have written, look over here, selling price 63.5 and we have noted it down. So selling price per unit is 63.50 or 63.5. Now we need to put variable cost. Look over here, we have noted it down. Variable cost is 16 from the question. Over here we can calculate contribution margin per unit, which is difference between per unit sale and per unit variable cost. To calculate the difference, we will subtract variable cost from sale. Sale was 63.5. You need to subtract per unit variable cost, which is 16. So we have got our contribution margin per unit. It's time to calculate the amounts. How would we calculate these amounts? Units would be multiplied with per unit. Unit of sales are 9,000. And we need to multiply it with per unit, which is 63.5. This way we have got our sales. Now let's calculate the variable cost. Number of units are 9,000 and you will multiply it with per unit 16. We have got our variable cost. Now we can calculate our contribution margin. There are 2 ways. First we will follow the same method. Units would be multiplied with per unit. Units are 9,000 and you will multiply per unit contribution margin, which is 47.5. You have got your contribution margin. Second way, you can see that contribution margin is difference between variable and sales. So to calculate the difference, you will subtract your variable cost from sales. Sale amount is 571,500 and you will subtract your variable cost 144,000. So in this way, you can see same amount you can calculate with these two methods. Since this highlighted area, we have calculated contribution margin just to create the understanding. Now they are unnecessary to be written over here. You can erase it. It was just to show you the methodology. Now fixed cost is also present in your question. Fixed cost 3,80,000. You can put 3,80,000 over here. And now we can calculate our contribution margin. We have calculated contribution margin. It's time to calculate our net margin, which is difference between fixed cost and contribution margin. Your contribution margin, look over here, 427,500, and you need to subtract 3,80,000 from contribution margin. We have got our net margin for number of unit we have manufactured, 9,000. So 47,500 is your earning before interest and tax for 9,000. Since 3 units are mentioned over here, you have 3 answers as well for B part. First answer is 47,500 and you can see that we have our answer 47,500. Answer is matched, it means it has been completed. This is your B first part. Over here we can mention it. These were for 9,000 units. After which we will calculate same contribution margin and net margin for other number of units, second part, and it was set to calculate contribution margin format income statement for 10,000 number of units. What I am doing, I am taking these headings to calculate next statement because everything would be same except these calculation. So I will raise them, though it is little easy at Excel, but in your examination you won't be allowed to use Excel and you won't be having any programmable calculator. So it would be your practice and you will have to write it again and again, all statements, because in our requirement it has been said to calculate EBIT for all 3. Now second number of units are 10,000 and it was described that number of units sold would always be equal to number of unit of variable cost and number of unit of contribution margin. Sale price, as you can see that in our question we have already noted it down, 3 main factors. 63.5 is your sale price. You can put it 63.5. Now next was variable cost and it was here 16. So you can put 16 over here. And then finally you can calculate your contribution margin per unit, which is difference between variable cost and sales. To calculate this difference, we will take sales 63.5 and you will subtract variable cost 16. You have got your contribution margin 47.5. Now let's calculate total amount, which would be a product of units and per unit. Number of unit 10,000 for sales and per unit sale price is 63.5. This way you can calculate total amount of sales. Now total amount of variable cost would be calculated, number of unit 10,000 and you will multiply per unit variable cost, which is 16. Total amount of variable cost has been calculated. Now there will be 2 ways to calculate your contribution margin. Either you can multiply units into per unit. Your units are 10,000 and you need to multiply per unit cost, which is 47.5. So you have got your contribution margin. The other way to calculate this contribution margin is simply you will subtract your variable cost from sales. Amount of sales 6,35,000, and you need to subtract your variable cost, which is 1,60,000. So in this way you have got again your contribution margin 4,75,000. These are same. You have two options. You can calculate contribution margin by multiplying units into per unit, or simply variable cost would be subtracted from sales. Both are good. Since one method is enough, this 4,75,000 is unnecessary to be written over here. We can erase them. Now go back to see how much was fixed cost. 3,80,000. Put 3,80,000 over here. It's time to calculate the net margin, which is difference between fixed cost and contribution margin. To calculate this difference, we will put 475,000 as our contribution margin. To calculate difference, we will subtract 380,000, which was our fixed cost. So in this way, our second EBIT has been calculated. So over here, you can see this is your B part, and you have second answer 95,000, and your answer is also 95,000. In this way you have completed your second part of B, and now we will calculate third part of B, where you will make again an income statement. Since it was required in our question, look over here B, and there are three answers. Why? Three separate number of units are given over here, 9,000, 10,000. We have completed, and now we will complete income statement for 11,000. It's a good practice. Right now what we will do, we will take all of these headings and I will use it to make our third contribution margin format income statement for 11,000 units. Since units have been altered, so we will put all values again. 11,000 number of units for sale. As you know, number of units sales would always be equal to number of units of variable cost, and number of unit of contribution margin would also be similar. For sale price, I'm hopeful that you remember this is your sale price per unit 63.5. So just put 63.5 over here. Variable cost was 16. Let me show you. Variable cost 16. Since we have done it more than one time, so it is in our memory. Contribution margin would be calculated by taking difference of variable cost and sales. Amount of sale is 63.5. You will subtract your variable cost, which is 16. So you have got your contribution margin. Amounts would be calculated by multiplying units into per unit. Your units are 11,000, and you need to multiply per unit of sales 63.5. We have got our total sales. Now we will calculate our total variable cost. Units are 11,000, and you need to multiply it with per unit cost 16. We have got total variable cost. Now we will calculate our contribution margin, for which what we will do, difference between variable cost and sales. So this time we will calculate in this way. To calculate the difference, we will take amount of sale, which is 698,500, and you will subtract variable cost, which is 176,000. So you have got your contribution margin. What we have done, taken difference of variable cost and sales. Now there is an alternate method. You will multiply your units 11,000, and then you will multiply per unit contribution margin 47.5. So this way you have got the same contribution margin. Here 10 was extra. Let's delete it. So these are two options with which you can calculate your contribution margin. Since we have calculated it, so one method is enough. Now let's go for fixed cost, which is given in our question, 3,80,000. Let's put 3,80,000 as fixed cost. Finally, we can calculate net margin, which is difference between fixed cost and contribution margin. To calculate the difference, we will write first contribution margin 522,500, and you will subtract your fixed cost, which is 3,80,000, and this way your net margin for third option 142,500, and we have also calculated 142,500. In this way, our B requirement, where we were asked to calculate earning before interest and tax for 9,000, 10,000 and 11,000. All three answers were calculated and conclusion have been made. It means B requirement has been completed. Now we will see what C requirement is saying. With 10,000 as base, what are percentage changes in units sold and EBIT? So there are two percentages we need to calculate for all these B1 and B2, B3. And since we are asked to make the base is 10,000 and 10,000 number of units are over here. So here you will calculate first change in sold units. Change in sold units would be calculated how? You will use a formula over here. Let's merge it so that everything can be understood easily. Change in units sold, or you can write percentage, since we have now space, percentage change in sold units. For this, what you will do, again we can take our columns in this way and you can delete it. Okay, percentage change in sold units, what you will do, change in units sold, and it would be divided by base units sold, and then finally it would be multiplied with 100. This way you can calculate your percentage change in sold units. Now please understand what change comes. To calculate your change in sold units, again we need another space. You will see current units and you will subtract base units. This way you will be able to calculate your change in number of units. Change in number of units sold. Though orally it would be very easy for you instead of writing, because in writing time would be consumed. Current units for this particular question is 10,000 number of units. This is your current number of units. So you can put 10,000. And base is also asked to make 10,000 units. It means same 10,000 units is your base and current units. So finally you have decided that change in number of units sold is 0. Since change is 0, no matter whatever base units are, multiply by 100 you will get 0. So this is percentage change in sold units for B2. Now we will calculate B1. Why we have calculated B2 first? Because it was asked in our question to make the base as 10,000 number of units. Alright, over here we will be doing the same thing. Let's use these headings. And over here, what you want to do, percentage change in sold units. So come over here, as we have done in B2 part, we will be doing same in B1 part as well. First step is to calculate change in number of units sold. Current units. Over here you can see current units in B1 were 9,000. So you will be putting 9,000 over here. and you need to subtract your base unit. Base unit in your book, it was said to make 10,000 number of units. Let me show you that in your question it was asked with 10,000 unit as base. So we are doing the same thing over here. Let's calculate number of base unit 10,000. So it means when you will subtract 10,000 from 9,000, you will get minus 1,000 as your change in number of units. Come over here in your formula, and now you can put change in units sold minus 1,000, and you will divide it with base unit. It was said to take base unit 10,000, and finally you will multiply it with 100. Okay, we need to put decimal over here just to make sure that it is not going in the wrong way. Again it has come. So over here we need to put something like that. Okay, please understand, Excel would take it as formula and it is taking as formula, so we need to write down something else as well. Okay, so what we have done, change in units sold divided by base unit 1000, and then finally you will multiply it with 100. No, it is not taking like that, so you will have to understand directly 10,000, and then you will multiply it with 100. Please note it down, because as I will enter, this would be vanished. Change in units sold, how we have calculated, you have subtracted current units from the base unit. Change has come minus 1,000, units sold which were base 10,000 divided, and this way you have completed your formula. And now we can put it on our calculator. Bracket start minus 1,000, and you need to divide it with 10,000, bracket close, multiply 100. So we have got 10 minus 10% for B1. This is what we have calculated, percentage in units sold. Now guess what we are going to do? We need to use same formulas again for calculation of third B3. Here we have our B3. Let's put it down. What we want to do, percentage change in units sold. For this, change in number of units sold would be calculated over here. Go to the question and see. Now current units are 11,000. So if current units are 11,000, we can put over here, and then you will subtract base unit which was described in question to take 10,000 number of unit. Statement is completed. It means 1,000 is positive, 1,000 is change in number of units sold. Over here you can put this 1,000 in our formula. Change in number of units sold, we have calculated 1,000, and you need to divide it with base unit 10,000, close your bracket, and then you will multiply it with 100. With this you can calculate percentage, and now we can put it on our calculator, divided by 10,000, and then you will multiply it with 100. So we have got our answer 10%. Again, this percentage is percentage change in units sold. Now we have three answers. Look over here. First answer was minus 10%. Let's mark it so that we can remember these were the answers for B. And then we have second answer which was 0%. Okay, we can mark it as well, though alignment is not accurate. So this is our second answer, and then we have third answer 10%. Three answers for percentage change in units sold: minus 10, 0, and plus 10. So let's get back to the question. what we have done, with 10,000 number of unit base, percentages were required to be calculated. In C part, you can see there are 6 answers. So first 3 answer minus 10, 0 and plus 10, and that's what we have calculated over here. Plus 10, 0 and minus 10. So you can see your first part of D, first part of C has been calculated, where you were supposed to calculate your percentage change in units sold. Please focus upon here. Percentage change in units sold you have calculated, and we are also required and EBIT as well. So percentage changes in EBIT is also needed. So let's get back over here, and here you will calculate your next part of the question, where percentage change in EBIT is also needed to be calculated. Let's make some space over here. Okay, from here you will start your calculation, but before that I want to let you know where we are and what we are doing, so that just the view of the question is needed to be seen closely. So from here you have calculated your 3 answers, and B1, B2, B3. This was your first part. And then what you have done, you have calculated percentage in units sold over here. This was your percentage units sold, and now third part is going to be solved over here, and this would be percentage change in EBIT. So hopefully you have understood, and now we will be calculating it. So first step is to write down the formula of percentage change in EBIT. Again, base is same for 10,000. So first step is to calculate percentage change in number of unit, where number of unit were 10,000. Okay, formula for percentage change in EBIT is change in EBIT, and you will divide base EBIT, and finally you will multiply it with 100, with which percentage would be calculated. To have your change in EBIT, what you will do, you will again put a formula over here. So change in EBIT would be calculated by EBIT, which is current, and you will subtract base EBIT. You will get change. We have just repeated the same thing for what we have done for change in sales units. In the same manner, change in EBIT would be calculated in similar way. Percentage would be calculated in similar way. Current EBIT. For that, let's come over here. In B2 part, current EBIT was 95,000, and you will go over here. It was 95,000. Put 95,000 over here, and base EBIT was asked to make number of units 10,000. So come over here, you can see these are number of unit 10,000, and its EBIT is also 95,000. So you will come over here and will put 95,000 as well. So why it is similar? We need to calculate change in EBIT. Since we were asked to make base 10,000 number of unit, while calculating EBIT for 10,000 we were having 95,000, and base is also 95,000. So it's 0. Again, like previously we have done for change in units sold, this would also be your 0 point. Now let's go for B1 point, where you will again calculate percentage change in EBIT. Same formulas we will be using over here as well. From here you will calculate your current EBIT, and little space is needed. It is stuck. My system is little slow, so sometimes it's do not cooperate in proper way. Current EBIT. For this, let's get back. This is your B1 question. And for B1, your current EBIT is 47,500. You are needed to calculate current EBIT 47,500. Okay, and you will subtract base EBIT. Base is 10,000 number of units, for which you can see over here for B2, for 10,000 number of unit, your EBIT is 95,000. So over here you will put 95,000. So in this way, change in EBIT would be calculated. Statement has been completed. 47,500 minus 95,000. With this, you have calculated your change in EBIT 47,500. We can now complete our formula, percentage change in EBIT. Change in EBIT just calculated minus 47500, and it would be divided by base EBIT. This was 95,000. Close your bracket, multiply it with 100. So in this way you can calculate your percentages. Statement is completed. Now we can put it on our calculator. Just by multiplying with 100 you will get your percentage. So here 50% has been calculated. For first part of the question, B1, B2 has already been calculated. Now we will calculate the same percentage change. Look, we are taking these headings for third part as well. Here we have got our third part. Over here you will calculate the same procedure which we have done for first two parts, and right over here you need to put your current EBIT. For this, let's get back to the question. This is your B3. For 11,000, your current EBIT is 142,500. So write down 142,500 current EBIT, and base EBIT we have already mentioned over here 95,000. In this way, you will be able to calculate your change in EBIT 142,500. I was just confirming it. Okay. Statement is completed. It's time to calculate our amount of change in EBIT, and this is 47,500, but it is positive. In first part 47,500 was negative, and in C part we have got 47,500 but in positive sense. Let's put it over here. 47,500 is your change in EBIT. You need to divide base EBIT. Look over here, base EBIT was 95,000. Close your bracket and finally multiply it with 100. Statement is completed. Now let's put it on our calculator. Divided by 95,000, and you will multiply it with 100. So we have got our percentage 50, and here minus sign was not put. Let's put it. Okay, three answers we have got: minus 50, 0, and we have got plus 50. So these are three answers. Let's mark them as all three answers have been done. and we will now see what answers are given in book as well. We have got minus 50, 0 and plus 50. Come over here, and here we have our question. Minus 50, 0 and plus 50. The answers we have got are the same. First answer, look over here, green, minus 50, and then 0, and finally plus 50. In this way, our part number part number C has been calculated. 6 answers were needed, and we have calculated all 6 answers: minus 10, 0, plus 10, minus 50, 0 and plus 50. It means C part has been completed. Use the percentages computed in part C to determine degree of operating leverage. Okay, so for this we will go parallel, and now over here we will be calculating degree of operating leverage. Let's make some better space for it, and we can use this space in this way. For degree of operating leverage would be calculated, and for that we need to put our formula. And what is that? Percentage change in sold units and percentage change in your EBIT. Two percentages we have calculated: percentage change in EBIT divided by percentage change in units. So formula would be written in this way: percentage change in EBIT divided by percentage change in units. Okay, complete formula, units sold. Space is needed. Let's get or grab some more space for it. Once again we need to merge it, and we need to merge this as well. Now we have our complete formula. So to calculate degree of operating leverage, we have got our new formula: percentage change in EBIT divided by percentage in units sold. Both are calculated over here. Look over here, your percentage change in units sold minus 10 and percentage change in EBIT minus 50. Both you can put over here: minus 50 divided by minus 10. This would be your statement, and we don't need to put is equal to first. Okay, have you seen what we have done? Percentage change in EBIT, and this is your percentage change in EBIT. This was your C part which was calculated. Now why not we should represent this C part in a little different way. Come over here. I am going to make it visible in proper way. So this was your C part, and I am going to mark it so that it can look little differently. So this was your C part which has been solved. To present it well, it is necessary part C was here, and we are now going to see our next part, which would be calculated in this way, and this is your part D. Let's mention it. Part D is over here. For this, what you will do, you will apply a simple formula 3 times over here. What is your formula? Degree of operating leverage, percentage in EBIT divided by percentage in units sold. In this way, our first answer has arrived, and now we will calculate same degree of operating leverage for other two parts as well. For that, I am taking these headings for second part as well. Here we will see percentage change, and instead of this we will put why it is automatically coming for calculations. So right, you can note it down. Okay, from here let's calculate for part 2 percentage change in EBIT. Over here you can see percentage change in units sold 0 and percentage change in EBIT is also 0. It means 0 divided by 0 you will get 0. Okay, two parts are solved. Let's take and calculate for third part as well. And again, degree of operating leverage would be calculated. For third part, we need to have percentage change in EBIT. Let's go to the left side, and you can see this is percentage change in sold unit 10% and percentage change in EBIT is 50. So you can put percentage change in EBIT 50 and divided by 10. So you have got your answer by dividing 50 over 10. 5. So 5, 0 and 5. These are answer for our required part. Look over here, you were asked use this percentage computed in part C to determine degree of operating leverage. 5 and 5. D part has been solved. Since base was 0, so you may mention or you may not mention. D part has also been completed. Now we will see what E part is saying. Use the formula of degree of operating leverage to determine degree of operating leverage at 10,000 number of units. So as you know, our B1 part, B2 part was having 10,000 number of units. Over here, I need your attention. You need to put a formula over here. Forward, degree of operating leverage. This is your last part. Your attention is utterly required. Formula of degree of operating leverage. For this, simply what you will do, you will see how much is your contribution margin and how much is your net margin. Just get contribution margin, divide it with net margin, you will get operating leverage. We have already calculated this operating leverage over here with the help of previous formula and with the help of percentage, and now we are going to calculate this with the help of a formula. So get back to the question. This was your B2 where 10,000 number of units, and we have two calculations, contribution margin and net margin. Your contribution margin first we will note down, it is 4,75,000. Over here you will put it as this, and what we need 4,75,000, I think that is your contribution margin. Let's check it out again, 4,75,000, and what we have written is 4,75,000. It's okay. Now need to have net margin. Your net margin for B2 is 95,000. Come over here and write down 95,000 over here. Statement is completed. You can write down the sign of division. Now put it on your calculator. 4,75,000, it would be divided by 95,000. So we have got our answer over here, which is 5. Let's make the space. Final answer, this was your, I think, E part which we have calculated. Since question had a length, part E was calculated over here and your answer is 5. Let's mark it as it has been done. And please give me a little more time. We are marking these answers as well. This is your first answer, and then third answer is also needed to be marked, which is over here. I'm very hopeful that all answers are calculated. So final answer for part E is 5. Let's get back to the question. For E we have only one answer, that is 5, and we have calculated final answer as 5 for part E. Reviewing is very important. Let's go back and take the review what we have done up till now. So here was your A part which was solved over here. 47.5 was contribution margin per unit, 8,000 was the answer. And you can see that first answer was 8,000. And then B 1 2 3 part 47, 95, 142. I believe that you can see the answers as well. 47 500, 95 and 142 400. 47, 95, 142, 400. So please note it down. This was your part C. From here, if let's say you are unable to see the amount, that doesn't matter. I am just letting you know the volume of this question so that it can be understood what we have done. Over here you have calculated your part 1 or part A was calculated over here, and this was your part B. This was part B. Part C was calculated over here, and this is your part D, just letting you understand the performer. And finally here was your part E, which was having only one answer. So I'm going to mark this as well. Sometimes it is important that how did you represent your question. I'm saying sometimes it is more important than solution, because managing question or the longer questions becomes very important to represent. This was your part A which we have calculated. Though few minutes I am taking, but is ultra important for your understanding. So part A was calculated over here. So this is your overview of the question. Part A was having only one answer, part B was having 3 answers, part C were having 6 answers. You can see over here. And part D was having 3 answers, after which we have calculated part E, and this was having only one answer. And here next minute is very important because we are going to review this question. Part A was having 8,000 as your answer. Look over here, part A 8,000. Part B 3 answer 1, 2, 3, 47, 95, 142. So 47, 95 and 142. This is your part B. Go up. Part C were having 6 answer 10, 0, 10, 50, 0, 50. 10, 0, 10, 50, 0, 50. These are 6 answers for part C. For part D, we were having 2 answers 5 and 5. 5 and 5, and this 0 was additionally calculated just to make you understood. And then finally for E part we do have only one answer, and our E part is over here. Final answer was 5, and this was written over here. This was your last answer, 5. So question is in front of you. Everything has been reviewed, all answers are reviewed, all parts are completed, solution is in front of you. And at this stage, it is requested to please repeat this question for 4 to 5 times. Otherwise, lengthy questions can disturb you. The better way is to make it in your practice. More practice you will do, more understanding or stronger understanding would be created in your mind. So in this way, our question number 13.9 has been completed. Though solution is in front of you, 13.9 is over here, solution is in front of you, all answers are in front of you, question has been reviewed, answers are matched, but even then I'm offering you, if you do not understand anything, you are very open to ask your questions. You are very open to put your queries through messages, text, or you can directly meet for the solution of your queries. I will be surely available to answer your queries instantly. 13 point is ended. Hopefully we will be looking each of us again for the solution of any other question in future. Up till then, please take care of yourself, and I'm requesting you to please pray for me. And second request is to solve this question for 3-4 times. 13.9 is ended. Time has been closed for this lecture. It's time to say goodbye. Thank you very much for your time. Allah Hafiz.